I'm Melissa Mittag. I'm the principal of Collyer and Company and a founding member of our host, the Calm Collective. And together with our guests, we're going to discuss what we've learned from this unsettled time and how we bring our business forward into what has been dubbed, quote unquote, the new normal. I'm joined by Jenny Bradley, creative strategist, content creator, stylist extraordinaire, and founder of Domicile Creative, as well as Breegan Jane, interior designer, lifestyle blogger, and currently appearing on HGTV's Extreme Makeover Home Edition, as well as Jenn Gracie, the creative director of Gracie Inc., her family's legacy hand-painted wall covering company. Before we get started, I just wanted to take care of a little bit of housekeeping. We plan to chat for about a half an hour and then open it up for a few questions. So go ahead and ask them in the Q&A box on your screen, and we'll tackle a few at the end. So ladies, design is about problem solving. And as a community, we are well equipped to help solve even the most complex problems, including some that have cropped up for all of us and will come in the future. So just to kick it off, I thought it would be interesting to talk about how the COVID-19 crisis either verified something that you knew about your business, and if you have any new insights about your business because of some of the things that came up for you. And maybe if we start with Jenn and then just have a conversation, we'll see how the rest of it flows.
Sure. Well, let's see. I mean, what has been really lovely, I have found, is being able to stay connected with people, whether it's on Zoom or Instagram. And it's been a really interesting experience for me, reaching out to clients and speaking not at all about business, but I find that, you know, I'm an optimist and I always look at the bright side of things. And I feel like one thing that this whole quarantine stage has done for me is enabled me to make much more of a personal connection with a lot of people that I really knew very peripherally through business. And we're talking on Zoom meetings or on the telephone, not about business or an order they might place, but how are you dealing with this? Where are you right now? You know, how is your family holding up? How are you keeping your kids busy? And making these, you know, I feel like I've become friends with a lot of people that I wouldn't have said that about before this. And I think it's going to be a really wonderful thing after this is over.
It's a beautiful silver lining. And I think it's so true. One of the things I'm experiencing, and Jenn, I don't know if you feel this way as well, but we are prepared for this in sort of the creation of a home as a design community and able to help others in that process. So I've been getting a lot of questions from friends and family on just how to make their house a more comfortable lived-in space. And because we all choose to put our creative talents here and really love what we do with a passion, I think we are uniquely positioned to help people. So we've been doing Instagram live design things. I mean, just the neighbors, the friends, here's some tips I have on how to make your space comfortable. This is what I'd love to do. And I'm enjoying that everyone is really finding the opportunity to create a loving environment inside their home.
Mm-hmm. How about you, Jenny?
I just kind of want to chime in too. One of the things that I've learned about my business, but also in our industry in general, is how we're able to adapt in situations like this and how creative this business really is. Just watching on Instagram, social media, things like this, how people have connected in new ways very, very easily and very quickly, and are sharing ideas and sharing things that we haven't necessarily seen so much in the recent past. And, you know, I very much agree with Jenn too, that I've met so many people in this that I, again, knew peripherally, but am now sharing information with, brainstorming with, coming up with ideas, not just about how we're doing business now, but how we will move forward later. So there's so much sharing of information too, that I think is another great silver lining to all this.
Yeah, I think people have been really supportive of each other. And I love, it seems to me that there's been, I mean, I think generally the design community is really wonderful, for instance, on Instagram, but I feel like even more so right now, people are just saying, look at the work of this other designer. Don't they do a fabulous job? And I feel like there's just been this whole sort of uplifting, you know, level of support and just being nice to other people. And if we can't all be kind to each other in times of crisis, you know,
Well,
give up on
sure.
humanity.
Right.
Sure. And I think, if we, we have to support each other. If one of us fails, we all fail in a way. I think it's so important to not only share all the positives, but really, I've had the experience where I've been able to talk to peers about the challenges that I've experienced and really go to them for a lot of resources and support. Which I'm not sure, we work in this community, so that's all we know, but I'd like to feel that it's something that's very special, and that it's also created a true sense of collaboration between people that you wouldn't normally see working together. And I think that leads me to think about all the opportunities. So have you noticed any new opportunities that you think might be there in the future, or there's opportunities that showed up for you that were a surprise in some way?
Well, my brother is actually really working hard right now on making our website more click and ship friendly, because so much of what we do has a long lead time, but we do actually have a remarkable number of things in stock, and we've never had that sort of capability on our website. And so we are obviously fast tracking that now, because we're realizing it's something that people really want. And even when this is over, people will really, people do sometimes want Gracie by the weekend. they don't necessarily want to wait a few months.
That's true. That's very true. Well, that's exciting, actually. And what about you, Jenny? You have a relatively new business. It's sort of a fledgling that you're nurturing. And, how has this impacted or made you think differently about what you're doing?
Well, I think the bright spot in that is that I already was very flexible, still learning kind of as I went. I mean, it's been less than a year since I started the company. So I already had to be very spontaneous and do some things on the fly because I was still learning. Certainly this has exacerbated that a bit. It has made me, we've all had to jump through some hoops and do some things that we didn't necessarily think we'd be doing. But as far as the opportunities, I mean, as far as content creation, and editors out there are creating like crazy right now. They need stories not just to fill their magazines, but online. They're looking for, video tours of designers' homes. So any designers I'm working with, I'm telling them to make sure that they're continually creating that content, whether it's, home tours, reaching out to people like Schumacher. Tori's doing such an amazing job there with her Instagram lives and things, to reach out to those people that we've worked with in the past but haven't necessarily collaborated with on content. So there's so many exciting things going on in that arena, I think.
So I've loved some of the Instagram lives, and I've been, sometimes I'll see one and I'll go, oh my gosh, they're interviewing them? Like, that's such a cool, unexpected pairing. And there have been so many people having the time to do things like that now.
Yeah. And I love how this is all coming together, because Jenn, I do need wallpaper. So I appreciate companies. Really, we used to be able to go and pick things in a store. Right now, that isn't an option. Yeah. So we are really diving into the planning stage in a different way than we did before, so that I can execute quickly when this is over. But I do need products, and companies are answering that call. But it also, part of that is around the content creation. There's wallpaper opportunities to show people how to do it themselves. And so both from the ordering and the content creation, like you were saying, Jenny, I think together as a community, we're really coming together to create homes. We're all at home right now.
And are any new clients that you've never heard of before, are they contacting you?
Absolutely. I've actually been amazed. And most of them usually preface their message on Instagram or email with, I feel guilty for even thinking about wallpaper right now, but I've had all this time at home and I'm looking at this room that I've hated for 10 years. And from all over the world. I mean, there are so many first-time inquiries. I've actually been astounded.
Wow. How about you, Breegan?
Yeah, it's been very surprising to see the inquiries come in and to take first meetings via Zoom. But I think everyone recognizes that the construction process, the planning process for my company and design is a long process. And so right now, I think people are starting to greenlight some of these projects. And just like you were saying, Jen, you know, people want to create something out of that room that they never go in, you know, function first right now. Like, we don't have time for that chair in the room that you never sit on. Like, if it's not being used, we want to use it now, because it's the more you can use your whole home and feel good in it. I think people are really, they're caring about it more than ever.
Mm-hmm.
Got
Breegan,
it.
has anyone asked you how to turn a room of their home into their classroom for their children who are working remotely?
Yeah.
Not yet, but I have done that myself, and I continue to always share kids' rooms. So of course those questions come in, and yeah, no, it's, the school thing is real.
I'm going to be calling you after this is all done, Breegan, because I need some tips badly.
I have the perfect little desk to send you.
Yes.
How are you communicating, you know, with your design clients, let's say? And, you know, Jen, for you, I know a little bit about the process of, you know, with Gracie. How are you able to do tailored rooms? You know, what are you using? What kinds of technology? And, you know.
Well, fortunately, we can email, you know, so for almost every order that we do, if it's not something that's in stock, it's custom to fit the room. And fortunately, we can email the design sketch to the client. You know, we are still, I'm right now in my Los Angeles showroom. So this is just a street front location. We're not open, but I can come here and get samples to send out to people. And we also fortunately just have great images on our network. So it's easy for us to send people examples of what this pattern looks like in a dining room, for example, and things like that are very helpful for helping people move forward.
And what about you, Breegan? How are you communicating? Are you doing like full presentations digitally? Are you using Pinterest? I mean, what do you find?
So we do tend to create digital, like, you know, package of what your project's going to look like. What's interesting is I usually like to present those in person, and that isn't an option right now. So I'm trying to find the best practice and sending those and then following up with a Zoom, or then following up with a phone call, because I do think that the nature of trying to create what you're going to create creatively requires some of that conversation around it as well, not just the visual element, but it's going well. And we're able to just put more time, like I said, into that planning process more than anything right now.
Right. And so when we start to come out of this, do you foresee a change in how you're going to do business going forward? Are you finding this more efficient? Are we going to be, you know, moving to a much more kind of digitally sourced environment for that kind of work?
I could imagine that it's going to change things for me. I had never heard of Zoom before this happened.
Either.
Well, one thing that I know is going to change, we just had a Gracie-wide Zoom meeting this morning. So, you know, we have 4 different locations, and we've never had a platform like this where we can all be on the same screen. And we have all had the best time doing it. That I just said during our Zoom meeting this morning, that even when this is over and all of our locations are open again, I want to do it once a week, because it's so much fun seeing everybody from Dallas and New York and LA and our art studio in one place and just joking around and, you know, checking in with everybody. And so just personally, that's something that will change for me. But I could certainly imagine continuing to do Zoom meetings with clients who can't visit the showroom. I think it's a great way to be so much more, make so much more of a connection than just over the telephone.
Right. And what about you, Jenny? I mean, you, in addition to content creation, you know, you're a stylist. You're someone who has this extraordinary eye and are able to, you know, really work with people to get their digital assets together, and really, you know, the quintessential creative strategist. So I know that you've really, by being based in Des Moines for all these years and really having a lot of your work happen elsewhere, you're kind of backpack on the plane or ready to work remotely. But I just wondered how that could impact, your business going forward.
Well, I think, it certainly has taught me ways where I might save some money moving forward. Obviously, getting on airplanes is not on my
Me neither.
very immediate to-do list. So I did this a couple of times when I was at Traditional Home, but we've learned to do some art direction and photo styling from afar in ways. So photographers can set us up and take photos and send them to us, and we can kind of do that over. Now Zoom actually will be a very great tool for that, I think, because I was with Jenn. I'd never used Zoom or even heard of Zoom before all of this. I just saw something from Sid at Southern Living. They are actually doing shoots in someone's garage, product photography in garages right now. So I think that, all content creators, stylists, photographers, whoever it might be, are coming up with creative ways to do things locally, or to do things from afar. And I do think in some respects, it will change the way I do business. It'll make it easier to do some of those things. But I also think that photo shoots, I hope, fingers crossed, are going to be fast and furious when this is all said and done. Best possible scenario that we're all incredibly busy when it comes to that. Because if we're shooting, whole homes and projects for main edit for magazines, those are things you want to be there for. And people aren't able to create those right now. So I'm very hopeful that early summer, probably early summer, that we'll see a lot of those coming.
I think that will be the case. I think there's going to be so much, I think everyone's going to have a desire to really get back to normal, and that there will sort of be all of this pent up activity that all of a sudden can be free flowing again, that we should all enjoy this slightly more restful time because we're going to be really busy.
Is it restful?
Well, I don't have little kids at home that I'm having to overlook their schoolwork. So.
Yeah, you're looking for a little love nest with your fiance and, enjoying sunny California, no schoolwork to be done. And I think obviously little kids is such a challenge, especially, some, how do you explain what's happening? And not share with them the, whatever you're feeling, your anxiety about things. So it's definitely, it's one of the challenges for sure. But we are going to resume, it's not going to be what it was. Nothing will be the same again. But that doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to be horrible. It's just uncertain at this point. And, Jenn, I always appreciate your optimism. So how are you preparing, honestly, your businesses to come out of this? Breegan, you have so much going on. You're a designer, you're a lifestyle blogger, you're a mom to two little kids, you are a TV personality. You just seems like you have lots of balls in the air. Were you filming when this started? Tell us all.
Luckily, we were on air, so we weren't filming, but I'm also trying to learn new things and see what film opportunities look like, and trying to teach myself new skills and how to create that content. I think as isolating as this all is, it also feels more connecting because I'm no longer bound by who I can go see every day. I can't see anyone.
Right.
So the world seems more accessible in some ways than it ever has. And I think for, the purchases and the goods that we're going to get, I think moving online is something I was seeing as a business anyways. We were shipping things because there's just different, you can be introduced to a whole different level of product when you go outside of just local. And I'm enjoying that, right now, online is my only option. So what's really out there right now that I haven't been introduced to? I think people are scared of change, and they think that because this is a negative moment, that when we say our businesses are going to change, they're nervous that that has a negative connotation to it. But I actually find that in struggle, we have to lean into our most efficient practices and the most heartfelt ones. And so I'm hoping I come out of this changed as a business with better tools, better knowledge, and just more direction.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Such a good point. And I feel like this, if anything, it's so interesting that you just said, in a way, we're more isolated, but I agree with you that it feels wonderful to have these different ways to reach out to people. And in a way, it makes me feel that the world is a much smaller place than I felt before this. And it makes me realize how much more like the whole world has more similarities than differences. And it's so important to be kind to each other. And we're all so interconnected in our actions. And this has all just made that so much more obvious to me. And it's definitely not something I'm going to forget when life gets back to normal.
Right. Yeah. Well, I hope that doesn't go back to the way that it was. I mean, this is the first time in history, or modern history, that it's a global epic issue, and it impacts not just our community, our industry, but all over the world. I've been amazed at the way people show up for each other. As I've gotten to know people that I would never have dreamed of knowing before, all through these really interesting ways of connecting. And I think that, as you talk about your businesses going forward, there's, again, so much opportunity there. And it's also a great way to get rid of, all the extra stuff, the things that weren't working, the systems that were cumbersome. So, it's probably, well, let's just remain optimistic, right?
I think it is time for us to streamline a little bit too. And as you said, to focus on the things that were certainly working, but to fix some of the things that weren't. I'm working with a lot of designers who are looking to revamp their websites right now, or, all of these things that we put on the back burner on our day-to-day basis because we're busy doing other things. And I do think it has given a lot of people time to focus on that type of marketing tools, whatever it might be, but things that we haven't had time for before.
Well, I think and Jenny and Breegan, you both said this, and I think it's so true that it's a time that's made me realize that I need to think more about, none of us can do everything. And we find ourselves pulled in so many directions, and especially now with social media and being able to check emails on our phones at all hours. And, I'm just on screens way too much, and I don't have time to do everything. And so it has made me realize that I need to shorten the list of what I do, because it's making it more evident what is essential and most important, not just for my work life, but my personal life. So I think it brings a whole new sense of what you should prioritize.
Right.
And it's making us more human as professionals, in my opinion, as well, because we are all home. We're all in our own homes right now. And I feel that when I had office or work hours, I was expected to act in a way in the past that I don't have a family. And when I'm home with my family, I'm expected to ask as if the emails of urgency are not coming in. And so I hope in this process, and as we work together from our own homes and mediums like this, we are understanding the complete human that exists as a professional. So
that's so true, because the way that it was, you're feeling guilty in both places, right? At work, you're feeling as though you're ignoring your family, and at home, you feel as though you're cutting everyone off from work, or you're upsetting your family. It's so hard.
Yeah. Well, it's hilarious. Just on cue, as you were saying that, Breegan, a little message popped up here. Hi, Mom. Jenn, Gracie, you look so great. From your
my God. Jack, I love you. Mwah, 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 mwah.
That's so sweet. That's so sweet.
Cheering section.
Melissa, I thought you were going to say it was your son asking if you could make him a pizza or something.
Well, that's probably coming next, for sure. But, to that end, I was watching, Alexa Hampton was doing an Instagram Live this morning with John Darien. She was obviously in her living room, and at some point her sons were running past in the hallway, and at first she was trying not to notice. And finally she just turned around and was like, hey, and I was like, I mean, she is one of the most human people, human.
I love her so much.
Authentic people in our industry. But absolutely, part of trying to do it all. Now for me is accepting that I just can't, and I'm tired and I'm gonna go to bed now. This is too much for me. And if the dishes don't get done, that's okay. And if I show up on a call and I have no makeup on and it's a working meeting, I met with the Calm Collective, and normally if it was a face-to-face meeting, I would have put makeup on. No, we were all in our sweatpants. One of our members, has a newborn baby. It's reality. Like, the vanity can just go, I think.
Yeah. I'd be happy if vanity definitely goes down a notch and stays a little bit more attainable.
Doesn't
Exactly
make you any less capable. That's what I don't understand. Being a whole and complete human doesn't mean we're any less capable of all the things we will accomplish in the future and have accomplished up till now.
Right. Well, we actually got some really cool questions coming in. So I just want to ask my last question, and then maybe we can get to some of the things that people, inquiring minds, want to know specifically. So let's fast forward to 8 weeks from now, okay? And we're heading back to work, out of our homes. What is the first thing that you're going to do in your business?
I'm definitely excited about hitting the ground running on construction projects that we're planning right now. And breaking ground and going in and getting it done efficiently and quickly. I'm interested to see if our extra planning makes a difference on the other end. Lots of clients want you to get started right away. And so you kind of do, and you plan as you go, but I'm hoping that the execution maybe is a little smoother. We're gonna hit the ground running.
Yeah. Well, I had already mentioned, that my brother is working on a whole e-commerce site for Gracie, which is going to be wonderful because our orders tend to be so labor intensive for each of our salespeople. And so being able to have people go on our website, click a button, have it ship, the salesperson doesn't necessarily have to create the quote, create the invoice, do all of this, hand holding of the order over months, is going to be a whole new world for us. So
you've also, recently added some new products. Now I realize that you've got some fabric. You have some small furniture that you've always made. Are these things going to be available online as well?
They are, yeah. Our new website is relatively new, so we haven't yet added back things like lacquer furniture that we make on a custom basis. So we'll have a whole section of that, and antiques as well.
Amazing. All right, Jenny, you're on the spot.
Well, I was going to say basically the same thing Breegan said, that, I've been talking to designers about how they can create their own content at home now and do that kind of thing. I can't wait to get back in there and help with that and be on a live photo shoot and deal with photographers and, get my hands in some flowers and things. And there's more tangible pieces that I've been missing the last month or so. And just, I want to get back to New York and I want to see my friends there. I might drive there, but I
just want to hug somebody other than the folks I'm isolating with. I want to, Jenny, when I see you in New York, give you a big hug. Although maybe
are we able to? I don't even know what the new rules are going to be on that.
Yeah, exactly. And we all of us have traveled around and we've gone to lots of events, and I just want to go to a good party. It's going to be
a warm glass of Chardonnay and yes, and hobnob and mingle, and I think we all miss that.
I think it'll make us all more appreciative, of what we had and what we have going forward.
Absolutely. Maybe what we should do is revisit this conversation in 2 or 3 months and see where we landed.
I would love that.
Great. All right.
I'll let you know at that point if I fit in my work clothes.
Oh yeah. I'll be fully gray by then, for sure. All right, so let's get to a couple of questions. The first question is, times of crisis bring out both the best and the worst in people. What's the one thing that you've been doing every day that makes you happy?
I've been painting every day. I do watercolors for fun. I've been painting every single day, even if I have been busy all day working remotely. If I have to stay up late to paint, I've been doing that every day.
That's a great one. I've been dancing a lot with the kids.
Aw.
And that's good because I haven't been doing all this workout stuff that people are doing, but we all need to move our bodies. The kids need to let energy out, and it's a positive way to just like connect that I wasn't doing every day prior to being in isolation. And it's really fun.
That is fun.
And I have been going out with my daughter on nature walks because spring is finally coming here. And so we go out and see the signs of spring, the colors, all of that. Just, you know, even if it's a 10-minute walk, just to get out of the house, around the neighborhood, in the woods, wherever it might be, but just have a little time outside of nature.
That's great. Melissa, what about you?
Oh, I go in my garden. I am an avid gardener. I am hooked on it in a way I can't even tell you. I just go out there. My son thinks I'm crazy. I come in, I've got like mud all over my face. It's, you know, it's a flower garden. It's a vegetable garden. It's a sanity. You know, I have beehives at the bottom of my garden. I go and watch them. I found that relating to our natural surroundings gives me a tremendous amount of peace. And so I do it more than once a day. You know, that's like coffee in the garden, you know, lunch in the garden. It's just warming up here now, finally. So I'm hoping I'll be able to continue that, you know, for the duration, pretty much. Okay, we have a question. What do you do, if anything, to create a balance between work life and home life when you never leave home?
Wow, that's a good question. I have found that my work hours are just crazy now, you know, whereas if I were home in New York, I would have a 2-hour commute to my showroom, and then I would have typical work hours and go home.
Right.
Now I'm in California with my fiance. I'm waking up really early so that I can coincide more with our Dallas and New York people. Time-wise. And so, you know, I'm working in my pajamas starting sometimes at 6 a.m. Then I'm taking more breaks during the day and taking my dog for more walks. And then I end up working way after dinner. So, so I do sometimes get reminded by a loved one that it's time to put my phone down or close the computer top.
Yep.
I would say I wish I had the answer. I'm talking to a lot of women with young kids at home or teenage kids at home, Melissa, who are struggling with this. And I think one of the things I'm trying to do is have different areas. So my daughter's work from home play area is in a room that I never use for working myself, to try and have some sort of physical separation. But it is nearly impossible. And I agree, Jenn, that I am, you know, I get up at 5:30 now and work and get that done before my daughter gets up. So there's I think it is impossible to have a really balanced, I think I'm trying not to be negative about it, but it's very difficult right now. I'm just trying to be authentic about it, that I know so many women who are struggling with this question, and men who are struggling with this question now. And I think, as far as Breegan, you might have a great tip on this, like how to separate spaces. Or
I'm totally feeling what you're saying, because balance for me is an intimidating word that I don't think I'll ever achieve. So I like to go maximalist on everything. So when I'm present with the kids, I try to be fully present. And when I'm working, I try to shut the door and lock it, and just, you know, a little scream of no out the door. Whatever they're asking me, the answer is no. Like, you have your workbook. And by doing the same thing you're doing, creating separation of space. So I think when you can designate a small work desk, or you can designate where your kids are going to work out, because we're home, if you start doing everything everywhere, it's going to get very chaotic in your mind. So I think about it the same way I create spaces. It's like, here's where we eat, here's where we sleep, here's where we play, here's where we work. Even though I relate to you, I'm doing it at all hours of the day. Try to get back to those stations so that you know what you're doing when you're there.
Right. That's actually a really good point. I've worked from home for a number of years, and this room I'm in is my office. That is the only thing that happens in here. I don't even like do personal bills or anything in here. I do them elsewhere. But I shut the door at night. I shut the door on the weekend and I don't go in. It's been so much more challenging during this period. I'm not really sure why. I also feel like I've had so many opportunities to connect with people in different time zones. And, I have like a coffee at 9:30 a.m. almost every morning with a friend of mine in California who's just waking up. And because it's all set up in here, sometimes I'm in here and we're talking about work and, and then my son comes in and wants pizza or lunch or whatever. So the balance thing is a challenge at the best of times, but now it's kind of like maybe the balance is just having it all flow together and just, as you said, being fully present in the activity you're doing rather than worrying about the space. I don't know.
And giving ourselves a little bit of a break, maybe. It's such an unusual time, and nobody's doing it perfectly, but
no,
we're all giving it our best.
No, that is for sure. And now I have a specific question for Jenny. Do you think branding will have more importance now?
I don't know that it will have more importance. I think one of the things I'm trying to tell the clients I'm working with is to be very conscious of your brand during this, because I think it's a time when some of us want to jump at opportunities that might not be the perfect fit for us overall. And that you really have to keep the long game in mind right now, because I think it is easy, again, for us to think maybe things are a little bit slow and you want that business or you want that story or whatever it is. But I do think it is imperative that you keep your brand message in mind right now. And maybe that is more so than ever, but I think obviously the brand message is always, the utmost importance. I just think it's harder, or it's easier now to kind of lose sight of that. What about you, Melissa? I mean, you've been a brand person for a long time. You probably have great advice on this.
Well, what's interesting is right at the time, right when this whole pandemic was beginning, I was transitioning out of my last full-time job working for another company to starting my own business as a business development strategist. I have many years of sales and marketing experience. I even worked for the Gracies way back in the day, like 20 years ago. Jenn was off raising her daughter at that time. And I really wanted to create this consulting firm to work with small brands and designers to really help them bring their businesses to the next level. And this has made me reconsider some of the things that I thought I was going to be doing. And it's made me really take my time. It's been, almost 2 months, and I'm only now letting people know what I'm doing because I really wanted to sit with it, and I wanted to figure out, what is my brand message? Some of you, Jenn and Jenny, have known me for a really long time, and it's kind of what you see is what you get. And I believe that about brands, and they have to be authentic, and you can't change your brand just because your circumstances change. And I think a lot of people want to let everyone know everything's okay now. And when it's not, that's okay too. It's like, let's just be honest with each other, but be authentic and be true, because then, you never have to change.
Right.
I hope that made sense.
It does. I think it's a very good point.
And I think that's it. Mike Gracie, brother to Jenn, has he's like, great panel. Hi to Melissa, sister and all. It's not really a question, but he wanted to let everyone know that, or make a comment regarding working together as an industry. He read a Business of Home article today about a crowdsourced list showing the operating status of vendors in our industry for interior designers reference.
Oh,
Pretty cool. It was put together by Workshop APD, the architecture and design firm, created the list and actually gave Mike access. And what we can do is when we post this video somewhere, maybe we can post a link, and I can certainly share it with the three of you. And that's a really fabulous example of how none of us know what's going to happen. We only know what we're doing today. And we're all working together to try and make whatever happens tomorrow a much better transition, I think, for all of us.
definitely.
Okay. Anything else, ladies? You want to say anything? Did we cover it all? Do we have
No,
any answers?
I've loved this. I miss people. And even if it's on a screen, it's been so much fun talking with all of you.
Yeah, and Breegan, it's been really fantastic to meet you. That's been a wonderful experience. So anyway, thank you all, and have a wonderful rest of the day. Bye,
Thanks,
everybody.
everybody.